Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome to episode 3 of the Marvel Annotated podcast. Now, on this episode, we'll go over the casting for She-Hulk, Black Widow potentially premiering on Disney Plus in the United States, the Spider-Man Miles Morales gameplay, and how She-Hulk may be introduced to the MCU. Now, overall, it's a rather jam-packed episode compared to previous weeks, and if you're listening to this on YouTube, the first 3 segments are uploaded at 4 p.m., 6 p.m., and 8 p.m. respectively, all Eastern Time. And if you'd like to hear the full audio version with the bonus 4th segment, follow the podcast on either Spotify or SoundCloud. Links should be in the video descriptions, but you can also search on either Spotify or SoundCloud for Marvel Annotated. And those versions are published at noon Eastern Time, same day respectively. And by same day, I mean Tuesday, since this podcast is scheduled to come out every Tuesday going forward. I'm really excited to get into these topics. So with all that said and done, let's get into it. So for topic number 3 here, we're going to talk about Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales gameplay. Now, this is a game that I'm really excited for. Now, I will admit, I'm not purchasing a PlayStation 5 straight upon release. I have this stealth policy where I always wait at least a year because they usually have been doing things like, there might be a hardware or software issue upon launch that they patch, and definitely by a year, everything that is patchable and fixable in terms of those things, they're usually addressed by then. At the same time, there's more games out as well. The last but not least kind of thing about it is, instead of buying the launch model of these consoles, I've usually bought the slim model that they reveal after the fact. So my PlayStation 3 was a slim, my PlayStation 4 was a slim. I even got the Game Boy Micro back in the day. I'm just all about the slim. So I'm definitely going to wait until they do the PlayStation 5 Slim, at the same time, I also want God of War. So, it's not a launch title, so I feel no rush. But going back to the topic at hand here, during the PlayStation 5 showcase from Sony, one of the games highlighted was the Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales game, which looks amazing, by the way. The graphics are so detailed. You could literally zoom in on a screenshot of Miles Morales' head, and you can see each individual curl that makes up his hair. Just the level of detail is impeccable. Honestly, I'm kind of blown away that this is how advanced these games are at this point. Just amazing. While it was technically a gameplay demo, it looked fantastic. The game was captured entirely on the PS5 for this showcase, and we actually see Miles Morales with his best friend Gank, his mom Rio Morales. Seems like she's running for political office, which was kind of cool, a nice kind of change for the character, because I think in the comics, if I remember correctly, she was a nurse. So it's interesting to see that they're not going to translate that, and instead they're going to do a political route, which would make sense if you want her to eventually in the storyline be a target of a rival gang, which obviously would then drag in Miles into the fray, and then you have drama because it's his mom and all that stuff. So I think I can see what they're kind of setting themselves up for here. But sooner rather than later, a new female version of the Tinkerer appears, attacks the neighborhood in between this conflict that the Tinkerer's gang has with Roxxon Corporation. Now, the gameplay is designed to allow gamers to see how you can expect to utilize abilities that Miles has, such as the camouflage, venom blast, and just in general combat mechanics that are more or less translated from the prior Spider-Man PS4 game. And while the PS4 version of Miles Morales' Spider-Man is expected to cost the standard $60, the PlayStation 5 version, alongside of other PS5 first-party titles, will instead be $70. But to make up for the $70, price tag, they're going to include a fully remastered version of Spider-Man PS4 with all the DLC add-ons, and Insomniac added these comments about the whole PS5 version improvements. So they say, and I quote, "The remaster for the PS5 is no simple upres. As many of the game's art assets as possible have been completely updated to take advantage of the PS5's console horsepower. You'll see better looking characters with improved skin, eyes, hair, and facial animation, including our new next-gen Peter Parker. You'll also see ray-traced reflections in ambient shadows, improved lighting, and more pedestrians and vehicles stretching further into the distance. And the same optional performance mode offered on Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales, allowing you to finally play the game at a targeted 60 frames per second frame rate. They go on to say we'll be supporting near instant loading, 3D audio, and the DualSense controller's haptic feedback. And the game is set to release on the PS4 and PS5 on November 12th, 2020. I'm kind of expecting it to be more of like an infamous, not Second Sons, but kind of the, what was it, like Reign of Blood or something like that. It was like a like a solo DLC add-on kind of game for Infamous 2. And it was basically like Festival of Blood, I think is what it was called. It was like vampires and stuff like that. I'm expecting it to be more like that than a proper extension and sequel of the Marvel Spider-Man franchise for the PlayStation. And I think they've already said as much in terms of like Insomniac Games not trying to make anyone confused and feel like they're going to be tricked into buying this game. And I think that's also why they're trying to add all these things into the $70 PlayStation 5 version, because they don't want people to feel like they're gypped out of $70. I don't think this game's going to really suffer from that. I think a lot of people are excited about this game, including myself. I'm going to buy it on the PlayStation 4, and then when I do get a PS5, maybe I'll get it, but I'm hoping they'll also do the automatic like free upgrade into the PS5 version. So I'm looking forward to that. We'll see what they do with that, and we'll see how good the game is as they show more for it. But as far as I can see with the gameplay, I mean, there's a really cool moment where he is basically stabilizing a bridge, which reminds me of the sequence from Spider-Man Homecoming when he was trying to prevent the boat from splitting apart. And at the same time, reminds me of Tobey Maguire in Spider-Man 2 when he was trying to stop the train. So, I mean, definitely, I think the animations are really fluid. Some great quick time events from the demo they showed. I think the combat looks as smooth as ever, and I'm really excited to see how they want to emphasize differences, like with the camouflage mode that Miles can, not infiltrate as, but can activate to kind of turn invisible more or less. And at the same time, I'm interested in seeing how they range out the Venom Blast, because I know in the Miles Morales comics, they've basically done it so the Venom Blast has different variations, one that's basically tactile, but also one where it's like he can kind of charge it up and basically release an omnidirectional blast of like this bioelectric energy. So I'm curious to see where they take it. And all in all, I mean, I think after Spider-Man PS4, Insomniac has gotten my goodwill. So I'm pretty excited for it. And yeah, that's it for this topic. And that's it for this episode of Marvel Annotated, the podcast. Leave your comments down below, your thoughts. What other topics would you like to see us explore in the future? At the same time, don't forget to check it out on Spotify and SoundCloud if you're listening to the YouTube segments. As well, this series comes out every Tuesday. So stay tuned every Tuesday at 4, 6, and 8 p.m. Eastern Time for these segments to upload. If you're a fan of Marvel, and just, leave comments down below on what you would like to see us talk about on the next episode next Tuesday. And with that said and done, I hope you guys have a great day, and we'll see you guys later.